Hello, everyone out there in Twitter land. This is another episode of Fighting the Void, and today I have got a little bit of, well, at least what for me is a fun surprise. We have got Bethany. She is back. You know her on Twitter as Not Blindfolded, and of course, these days she's not wearing the American flag blindfold. She's wearing the American flag mask for various reasons that we'll talk about, I'm sure. And you might remember going way back now, Bethany was an early guest on the show, talking about, life as a conservative on campus and other such fun things. But now she is back from a fun little excursion out in California where she got to work as, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bethany, as a paid intern for the Daily Wire of all places.
Correct.
All right. So, Bethany, first, welcome back to the show and welcome back to the People's Republic of Michigan.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be back in the best state ever, although I have been relentlessly teased for our governor. I am so sorry if I offended anyone, and no, I'm not sorry.
In my audience, that should not offend anyone. And if that's going to offend them, I have already offended them a lot talking about Governor Umbridge on the show. So,
thank you.
Don't you
all
worry.
Of the offense we can get
from
that woman.
Oh, yes, absolutely. She is quite the treasure, isn't she?
Yes, precious.
Treasure that I wish had stayed buried. Anyway, so first, let's go ahead and let's just get right into how did you find yourself working at the Daily Wire of all places? How did the young blonde Rapunzel from Michigan wind up doing an internship at the Daily Wire?
Okay, well, it is a really funny story, and I hope you don't mind. I would actually like to tell this one because it's unbelievable.
The floor is yours.
It was completely unexpected, and it was nothing I did. It was just, it kind of happened. So, back in June last year, I have this friend on Twitter. I got a Twitter like 2 years ago, and it was probably not a great thing, but it ended up being a great thing because I made a lot of friends on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I made friends with people I'm sure your audience is familiar with, like Michael Knowles or Jeremy Boring over time, and of course a lot of other random people, and like Laurel, and obviously you're awesome, and we both got to see Andrew Clavin together.
Yes, we did. That was awesome.
That was so awesome. So I made a lot of friends on Twitter. One of them was this guy Clay, and he had been complaining on Twitter. Oh, I got 2 backstage. We had just like a week or 2 ago started talking because he had, for some random reason, he was complaining. I have so many DMs, it's ridiculous. He was complaining that he had 2 Daily Wire backstage live passes.
What a horrible thing to have.
And he's like, I don't have anyone to go with. My parents made me get 2 of these tickets, and they're like, and all my friends are in the military, which he was not exaggerating. All his friends are in the military. He has a lot of friends that they're like, they are basically all in the military.
Oh, wow.
And so he ended up complaining to me about it, and he's like, Bethany, this is so annoying. Would you go? And I'm sorry. My phone is being weird.
Is the pop socket giving out again?
It's just technology.
So Clay was forced to buy 2 backstage passes.
Yeah, he was forced. His parents made him buy 2 because they're like, you're gonna want to bring somebody, and so he has this extra Daily Wire backstage live ticket.
Right.
And he's just joking with me, and he's like, Bethany, would you want to go? And I was about to laugh it off because I was like, obviously it's a joke. And then I was like, but if it wasn't?
But if it wasn't?
How can I say no to that right away? I was like, no, that would be ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I'd have to get a plane ticket. And I'm like, but I don't know anything about this guy, obviously, besides knowing him on Twitter for a year.
Right. You know he likes airsoft and like World War II things at that point, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, I was like, I don't really know who he is exactly, but I don't know him really well. And I'm like, but it would be really fun to meet Jeremy Boring because we had become kind of friends, and so I was like, it would just be so funny. I'm like, I can't do it. I was like, I looked up tickets and I took a screenshot and I sent it to him. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I can't really
afford this. This is nuts.
Can't afford it. I'm a poor college student. I can't do something like that right now. And he was like, that's it. I've been working all summer. I'll pay for half of that. So you think?
Well, I got it, Clay. Clay, I see you, and I see Greg in the chat. Clay, smooth, man, smooth. I like it.
And I was like, you're insane. He's like, yes, but you'd be the one insane if you took it. He's like,
he's not wrong.
And he's like, it's a terrible idea, but it would make a great story.
It's true. It's true.
Yes. So I was like, all right. I can't believe I'm doing this. Maybe. We'll look into it. So I find, I'm doing all kinds of research on like plane tickets and stuff. And
Facebook stalking Clay. Yep.
That was actually mostly, yeah, but not so much that, but just like, and my mom. So we were talking all the time. We were talking all the time because we had to make sure that we had to make sure neither of us was a psychopath. I can tell you with confidence, both of us are psychopaths.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. So you decided, okay, we're both batcrap crazy, so it's fine then.
Yeah. So it's kind of a weird conversation when you're talking with like your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, and you're like, so I was thinking about going to California to meet a guy I've never met. And
welcome to the digital age. Okay.
Yeah, and so my mom was like freaking out a lot about it, and this was actually really funny. I was like, no, Mom, if you're really that nervous, because Clay had said, well, you could call my mom, and that might make you feel better. And so, he called. I asked if my mom could call her. One phone call later, they are besties. They are texting. They are just, I was like, Mom, you would have been murdered on the internet. Like one phone call and they're your best friend. This is not a good thing. But his mom is such a nice woman. She honestly is one of the most generous, kind, hospitable people I know. But anyway, so we're setting this whole thing up, and so I've got plane tickets, I've got an Airbnb, I've already, obviously Clay has the backstage live ticket, and we've set up this whole plan. I'm gonna stay there for a week. We're gonna do all these different things. I've got 2 friends who are coming with me, who are crazy enough to go with me. I don't know why. They must have been really bored that summer.
Oh, did you dragged other people along from Michigan?
I got other people from Michigan who were like, "Oh, you're gonna go to California to meet a guy you've never met through Twitter? I'll come."
I'll come and help protect you.
Yeah, just two girls that are like 4 years younger than I am. Great idea.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, so it was total Twitter silence. Wasn't gonna say anything about it on Twitter because Clay was like, I want to see Jeremy Boring's face when I'm like, hey, here's Bethany. And we had made plans to meet up with Spencer Clavin and like and Faith Moore, Clavin's kids. And so Spencer had one time he accidentally spilled a little bit on Twitter, and we had to message him and say, hey, can you not say that right now because it's going to be a surprise. Okay, so 2 months of dead silence because that was in June and the thing is in August. And so, just 2 months of not saying anything. And like 2 weeks before the event, Jeremy messages me and Laurel actually and says, hey, I want you guys to come to Backstage Live. I've got your plane ticket, I've got your hotel, I've got your ticket. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
I did not know this part of the story at all.
I know it was totally out of the blue.
Oh, that is so cool.
Because apparently we now know he was gonna try and offer us a job, and so I was like, hey, Jeremy, I've already got those things. And so Clay was really disappointed because like the joke was spoiled, but and oh my goodness, it was hilarious just walking up to the meet and greet and first guy Andrew Clavin, which was he actually immediately recognized me. He was like, oh hey you, and he's like, the drawings, and I'm like, Bethany, yeah. And so we, he was like, oh, that's so cool. And he gave me a big hug and he's like, oh, that's so great. And like, you could have either gone on your own and gotten pictures or like with someone. And so I was like, well, okay, Clay and I will just go together because he got me out here basically. I mean, I don't know if I had gone 2 weeks ahead of time. Probably, maybe. But it was very sudden.
Yes.
I might not have been able to schedule classes around that and stuff, but anyway, and so then we get to Noel, and so we're like, oh hi, and he's like, hi, shaking your hand, and I was like, hey Michael, do you know the name Blindfold Bethany? I was like, you probably don't know who this is. You know who Blindfold Bethany is? And he's like, oh, it's good to. Not blindfolded? See, not blindfolded. I'm not making this up. I'm like, you're crazy. See, not blindfolded. It is so good to finally meet you. And he gives me a hug and shakes my hand. He's like, this is so awesome. He's grinning like a lunatic. And I was just like, it's funny because Michael's genuine smiles look fake and his fake smiles look genuine. I don't know why.
That's a curious issue to have.
It is. And then there's Jeremy's thing, who doesn't ever look like he's smiling. And of all the pictures, so I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, so that was just so awesome. And then we go over to and then we go to Jeremy. He immediately sees us and he hugs me and he's like, hey Clay, I'm glad you could bring her out here. And he hugs Clay, and so of course that went straight to Clay's head. I'm messing with you, Clay. And he's like, I'm so glad you guys could make it out here. And he was like, he starts talking with us a little bit, and this is the thing I was going to tell you. he never looks like he's smiling.
Uh-huh.
There were like, we were looking through to find our picture of all the pictures of all the people who had VIP tickets. There were like 2, 3, 4 that looked like he was like genuinely smiling.
Right.
We had one of those pictures.
I'll bet you did.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. And
you got
then
a smile out of Jeremy Boring.
Yeah.
No small feat that.
Yeah. And oh my goodness, it was so awesome. And then after the show, there's a little bit more to that, but after the show, he basically just said, "Hey, are you staying long enough to come by the office later?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm here for a week." And I was like, "We have stuff packed every single day except for like the day before I leave. So yeah, we're coming to the office." And
Sweet.
it was so awesome. So then we came to the office and we got to see everyone's show. I have to say it was so great because Ben's show is like just super serious.
Right.
Into Clavin's show, we were in the tech room, which honestly was so much fun. The guys in there are a riot. They were just cracking jokes every second. It was so funny. They are kings.
So the crews match the personalities of the guy in front of the camera.
Oh my goodness, it was great. They are honestly some of the funniest people. And then we go to then from Michael's show, we got to sit in the actual room where they were recording it.
Oh, cool.
And like right behind the camera. And I have to tell you something. They said, "You're in here. Dead. You cannot laugh."
Right. I'm sure it was not easy at times.
No, it was not easy at times.
And was it in fact Ben Shapiro's broom? Was it in fact Ben Shapiro's broom closet?
At the time, it was the same room as Clavin's. Actually did get to see the broom closet. So they use it for storage now.
It just seems appropriate. Anyway.
Yeah. They all love to make jokes about that. Oh, that was so great. In fact, I had my dad come out there, and for whatever crazy reason, Jeremy was like, "Oh yeah, he could come by the office, sure." And so I was like, introducing him to some of the when I was working as an intern, he came by, and he was like, Jeremy's like, "Yeah, he can come by." I'm telling you, this man is insane. Oh my word. But my dad came in and I was introducing him to some of my friends, and then we go upstairs to the production floor, and Colton Haas is up there, and he's like, "Oh, have you guys like gotten a tour of the place? And you guys lost?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just showing my dad around." And he's like, "Oh, let me show you everything." And so he gives my dad the full tour. He got to meet Michael, which was great. Michael is so nice. I mean, no, he's terrible. I can't stand it. No, he's
right. Yeah, we're all supposed to maintain the idea that Michael Knowles is execrable.
Yeah, he's
basically a steaming,
terrible,
walking pile of human excrement, who is only kept around to make everyone else at the Daily Wire feel better about themselves.
Obviously.
Obviously. This is the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why anyone would imply otherwise. I would not know why anyone would imply him as like an extremely friendly, kind person who just makes you feel really special when you walk in the room and, just lights up the room. No, none of that.
No,
obviously not.
No,
he's not at all. not at all like that. Well, anyway, of course, so we get through we see everyone's show, and we're talking with Jeremy in his office, and he says, "So, if you're ever back in LA, if you ever found a place here, we could find a place for you here."
Sweet.
I was like,
okay.
And so I went back home, and Clay was like, back to Michigan home.
Yeah.
It was like, "You realize he offered you a job, right?" And I was like, "No, that's crazy." And so I had to follow up with him again. He's like, "No, I'm serious. We'd love to have you." Oh, sorry, did I glitch?
Yeah, you froze for just a minute, but yeah, you're good. Okay, so you realize that Jeremy was in fact serious, was in fact offering you a job,
and is in fact insane.
And is in fact insane. Yes, as Clay pointed out in the chat there.
Many times.
Yeah.
He will, you could almost think that he was sane. And I don't know if you've seen this TV show Fringe. There's a character
I have not, but I'm aware of it.
Who's basically a mad scientist.
Mm.
And one of his things that he has been known for saying is, "Let's make some LSD." And Jeremy impersonated that a little too well. A little too on the nose. And you could have almost thought he was sane, and then he says something like that, and you're like, that was kind of terrifying coming from you.
Yeah, and you're like, have you before?
But no.
Have you today?
No, he's actually the most normal person, but he's really nice. Anyway, okay, so you want to hear about the internship?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I moved out there in January, started work like mid-January. Everyone there is so nice. Everybody. Like, there's just random people behind the scenes that you'll never hear of. And some people even have to, there were at least 2 people that had anonymous names because they didn't want it to leak, like, what their real name was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, because it's so polarized, and they'd never be able to get a job again.
Right.
So there's so many great people there. I heard from Clay that actually the person I worked the most with, who was Jared, who does ads, Jared Seychelles.
Okay.
Apparently Clavin praised him on Wednesday for cool ad stuff.
Cool.
He's got a talent for those ads. And so he was actually swamped with stuff because advertising is not an easy job.
No.
And
I cannot imagine.
Nobody really wants to do it, but it's also something that has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like he had so much on his plate. I did a lot of that.
Nice.
I did a lot of work with the talent, media, and events department.
Mm-hmm.
With mostly under a woman called Caitlin Maynard, who's supposed to be getting married.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, to Mathis Glover, actually.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and
Daily Wire romance.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Meanwhile, I just, randomly started dating a person who was a major fan of Daily Wire, which is totally different. But
it's totally not Clay, though.
Definitely not. I would never date Clay.
No.
Except maybe if, like, I came out in January and was like, okay, you are kind of nice, and realized, I guess we have talked every day except for like a handful of days. It's been between August and January. So I don't think you can't not consider that at that point. But anyway.
Yep.
I'm getting off track.
Are you kidding me? It's part of the story.
he's pretty great. Clay himself is just really smart. He knows a lot of the he's a lot more of a Ben Shapiro personality, and I'm a lot more of an Andrew Clavin personality. So it's fun.
I can see that dynamic working out interestingly.
I mean, I guess actually I'm probably more of a Jeremy Boring, except not as cool, obviously. But yeah, because Jeremy is really good with story. He and Clavin understand like a story and how to tell a story.
Right.
So that was something I learned about him, and I was like, that's cool. That was one of the things that really got me interested in Jeremy. Not so much the story thing, but like every time you learn something about Jeremy, it's like, that's pretty cool. Like every time he would do a backstage, I was like, wow, I learned something that I'd never thought about before. I like this guy. So
I remember hearing that he had done work in Hollywood and stuff. That came up on, I don't know, probably Shapiro's show at some point. Just mentioning that, and there was that Arroyo movie that I know that they had worked on. That was the giveaway for a daily membership, for a Daily Wire membership before the Tumblr was born.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's going back a ways, but
yeah.
But I do remember hearing that. So, what's the coolest story you would say from your time working at the Daily Wire?
I really wish we had this recorded. Someone, I think it might have been Katie Swinnerton. Someone recorded it. But the ice cream machine.
The ice cream machine. Okay.
Yes.
What happened with the ice cream machine at the Daily Wire?
We got an ice cream machine. Vanessa, who's kind of in charge of like things that are happening in the office and stuff, she founded the budget, and I probably on with OKs from everybody. She got an ice cream machine, like an honest to goodness, like press the thing and it's a soft serve ice cream machine. Okay.
Yep, understand. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that would instantly make me gain 10 pounds. But anyway.
Yes. So the opening of the ice cream machine, she had found some, I don't know, red plastic. She pulled out like a red carpet in front of it, okay? Like coming up to it. She set up a little stand. She set up a little stand with like different toppings that you could put on your ice cream. She put like different kinds of cones out on this little stand, and she had, you know, every kind, anything you could ever want on ice cream. She's got it in this little cupboard, and on top of it in this gorgeous display. And she had a red ribbon tied across in front of the red carpet leading up to the ice cream machine. She had, to the entrance of the kitchen, she had like balloons and balloon weights, like, you know, just like balloons on either side of it, and a banner that said grand opening. We had the whole office in the kitchen, and Ben Shapiro comes out and he gave the most Ben Shapiro speech about ice cream. Just like this short, brief, well, you're all gonna, you know, this will probably overall gain more this will probably gain more weight than it will happiness in the long run. Some kind of technical.
Yeah, it's got a very, very technical wet blanket speech.
Yes. And then he cuts the ribbon, just like blandly cuts the ribbon, and everyone lines up and gets their ice cream. It was amazing. I need to find someone who has that video because I was trying so hard not to laugh. I asked if I could be recording, but because you have to be careful with those kinds of things.
Well, of course, yes.
Yeah. But it was really funny.
I think it's just cool that they actually take time to just have fun.
Oh, yeah.
in at the Daily Wire offices. It's not just a.
Yeah. Valentine's Day was fun.
Oh dear.
And it's worse because Vanessa set it up, and Vanessa did this whole. I am not kidding. I'm not making this up. There was like at 2 times during the day there was I think there might have been the upstairs and downstairs. I don't know, but there was there were party games, and there was like from chick flicks and stuff. You'd have to romance movies. There was a trivia. I did not engage in that because I don't know anything about any of those things. So I was like, I'm not even gonna put a number on it. And she recruited one of the other interns, Edward, to tally up who was doing the best, and was projecting the trivia on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, Daily Wire Backstage was awesome because we could watch it from that big screen in the kitchen.
Oh, nice.
After work was over. And it was so funny. It was so funny. She just went overboard on everything. It was hilarious. And I believe, I could be wrong, I think Michael Graham won that one. And he deserved it because he's one of the funniest people ever.
All right. So, Daily Wire is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
People at the office are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best non-Daily Wire, non-Clay related thing about your time in California? And what was the thing you missed most about the best state? No, family doesn't count. That's cheating.
Oh, well, what I miss most is just kind of the weather, but kind of not the weather. I had just edged into the hot, and I was like, oh, like it was just starting to get warm out there, and I was like, I can't do this. I actually got heat sickness while I was out there, apparently.
In California, really? Wow.
Yeah. That's what they told me. I don't know, but I got sick.
Wow.
And I was out in the sun, so maybe.
That's not fun at all.
It was not particularly, but I was fine. So.
Well, that's good at least. So what was the most, I guess, surprisingly good thing about California?
Oh. I was surprised to find that there were a lot of for some reason I only ran into like super nice people. I was looking for an apartment, and I found a conceited sketchy actress who was a struggling actress, and I was like, no. This, like, all the boxes tick on her, and she's cheaper than some of these other things, but no. So I went with this other lady who ended up just being so sweet, and it hurt because once COVID hit, her brand new nail salon shut down, and that was really hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah. She had just spent all of her money and everything on it, I'm sure. And yeah, that's fun. Which I suppose brings us, well, let's circle back to the COVID in a minute. Well, actually, no. Let's just get right into it. Why not?
All right.
So,
Why not?
the COVID and all the Corona craziness started to hit while you were out there. How did that like change things on a practical daily basis for you out there? Because speaking for myself, regardless of what Governor Umbridge, says, my daily life has changed relatively little. The only thing that really pisses me off is I haven't been to Mass in a couple of months now, and I think kind of upset about that. But other than that, my daily life isn't terribly different, regardless of what the rules are. That's partially because my life isn't terribly affected by the rules directly, and no one's policing them, so I don't care.
We live out in the middle of nowhere, so it's very possible that we have our neighbor over quite often, possibly every day. We may have also possibly had over a pet fish that belongs to Michael Knowles.
You hate old people.
I never said that I did.
You hate them all. You hate old people and puppies.
Yes, I do actually hate old people and puppies.
How dare you? There's
But
probably 47 deaths that are directly attributable to you and the fish.
Only if they voted for Governor Whitmer, Dictator Whitmer.
Whitmer. Yeah. Anyway, what about over in California? Did that change anything for you out there?
Yes. Daily Wire was still, like, we have to be careful, but we're not, let's still try and, if you can work from home, maybe if you've got any symptoms of anything, maybe you should stay home. But like, obviously by this time it was like, it was probably not like you couldn't really stop it at that point by the time the news was breaking. And so, I mean, you just don't know. But because like everyone did kind of get a little sick around the same time, or some of the people got kind of sick around the same time, and so we're wondering if that was it. But it was before people were really freaking out much, and so can't really do anything about it then.
Right.
And yeah, and obviously everyone was fine.
No. Yeah, I'm sure you would have heard about it if not,
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
It did though. It did cause a lot of like some of my coworkers were, just really nervous about it, and it was, I mean, this thing is like, I know it's a problem, but it's also something where the anxiety from it, the fear from it, you could see just the horrible devastation it was doing to people's lives. Like one of my coworkers was starting to get really anxious about it, and it's like, well, you yourself are going to be okay. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If you need to, if you need to stay home, and then if you need to stay home, you can stay home. And that was what happened. Like I had 2 months in to my 3 month 2 months into my 3 month internship was when they shut everything down and we had to start working from home. And I was like, wow, I'm really glad. I know, I was really glad because that Jeremy had come up to me like a month after, and he's like, so have you been out to lunch with anybody yet? And I was like, one person who took me out to lunch, does that count? And he's like, no, that doesn't count. Go out to lunch with people, Bethany. And I was like, okay, I'm not good at this. So I took the two interns at the time. I forgot about one of them. But I took two of them out to lunch, and then I took Caitlin and the person she kind of works with the most, Mathis, and so not Lovers, but no, Matt, because I think he's a Matthew. There's like 4 different Matts there, okay? There's like 4 Matts and like 4 Mikes.
That's just confusing.
Flash Michael. It was. Yeah, because he's Matthew. So yeah, I'm Matt. But
well, it's just as well then that Matt Walsh lives out in Baltimore, because that just make it even more confusing.
Yeah, the only time I ever came in, like, there was just one time Jared was on the phone, like, and had it on speaker. And after a while, I was like, that voice sounds familiar. And then he's like, all right, good talking with you, Matt. And he hung up, and I was like, oh, that was Matt Walsh. That's why.
Did he fly out there at all while you were there?
No, I never met Matt, but he was and I never really got to talk with him. But you know, I scheduled events for him that were all canceled.
Right, because of the dang COVID.
Yeah, apparently I was pretty good at getting what I needed when I was scheduling things, because we have this, like, when you have to book a hotel room for someone who has a podcast, you have to make sure they have really good internet, especially if it's Ben.
Yeah.
So I want you to imagine calling a hotel and saying, hey, I'd like to get a room, but do you have an Ethernet cable or do you have Wi-Fi that is like this good? And they're like, we have Wi-Fi.
Right.
Is it free Wi-Fi?
I'm sure the poor person at the front desk is like,
oh, sorry. Can you pay? Like, is it free Wi-Fi? Can you pay for it? We need it to be this fast. If you run a test, we can find out how fast it is. And they're like, we can't run a test because we're just the people who are working here at the desk. But I was able to get it out of people, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're able to get the necessary internet connections to support the Daily Wire shows on the road.
Yep.
And and that is one good thing about something like the Daily Wire. It's a type of place that is, as far as just getting the job done, it's tailor-made for working from home when it comes to just the technical aspects of what you need to do to get the job done. But you lose all the fun stories, like the grand opening of the ice cream machine.
Yeah. And like the people there are so awesome. Also, I am very likely ADD, ADHD, and I don't work well from home. I know this about myself. I have known this from myself forever. Right. And that is why when Jeremy has told me, it has like said, oh, if you ever wanted to, and I was like, no, I can't do that. I would love to. I'm just not built for that.
It won't go well.
Yeah, it doesn't go well.
No, so, I'm the same way when I'm working on my editing and stuff. I get very easily distracted by anything else on my screen. And I'm like, oh, I wrote a paragraph. Let's see what's on Twitter. It's like, why did it take me this long to write a stupid 700-word article for a client? Oh, because I can't stay, because I have a hard time focusing for more than 15 minutes.
That's why I like to write on paper. Because if I write on something else, it doesn't usually go well.
No, it does help. It does help you focus on what you're doing a heck of a lot more. So, okay, so you're back from California, back to the best state, from one dictator governor to another, and unfortunately, it looks like I may need to derail that train of thought, because Clay says that I'm supposed to ask you about working from home specifically.
Why?
I don't know.
It was very difficult.
I'm getting the idea that he knows of some sort of numerous incident or pattern of behavior that.
Just that I would get so distracted and it would take me. So, okay, well, I'm not really supposed to say this, like not Daily Wire related, but like, well, let's say, because I would get so distracted. After I would punch out, I would still feel really guilty that, like, because I was so distracted, I would sometimes work a little bit longer.
Right.
Which, you're not supposed to do because you've already punched out. But I can't focus. And so there would be times like, anyway, so it was, there were times that I would work a lot longer, or a lot later, I guess, not longer than I then was expected. And so I like to make fun of me for that, but come on, give me a break. And I know my flaws.
Right. So now it looks like Governor Umbridge is trying to hold on for like the title of best dictator in the country. We seem to be having
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. No. See, she's just trying to save them.
Oh, right. I'm sorry that I dare question Her Majesty and her noble intentions. Yeah, I'm questioning Her Majesty and her noble intentions. Anyway, I know, how dare I indeed. It's just really easy. But, yeah, it seems like she's in kind of a 3, maybe 4-way contest with herself, Newsom, Tom Wolfe over in Pennsylvania, and of course
various fictional villains,
and of course the hero of COVID, none other than Governor Cuomo himself, brother to Fredo. yeah. No, it's like, her name doesn't seem to be coming up in the Veep stakes as much anymore. So I'm thinking at some point you would think she'd realize that this is backfiring. At
some point you might go, what if I actually go to jail for this? That would be a problem.
It would be. I don't think she will, because if there's one thing I noticed, we don't hold politicians accountable in this country. Maybe at the voting box, maybe we hold them accountable, but that's otherwise.
We have so much corruption in Detroit. There's nothing we can really do sometimes.
Yeah, no kidding. But it's
sorry.
I think I gotta think either she's just so dumb she actually thinks this is working, or she's like, well, I stepped in it, and if I back off and start suddenly acting reasonable, that's going to look weak. So the only way out is through. And so I'm just going to double down until I'm the last dictator standing.
I saw her live once.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Did you hear the gears whirring?
I went with a friend who I actually really wanted to do a podcast with, because her family is from Cuba. So she came over from Cuba. So she is an avid anti-communist, and she's a wonderful, wonderful person. So I went with, she was like, hey, I heard Whitmer was going to be speaking here. You want to go? And I was like, okay. So we headed out there, and it was really kind of funny, because there were open questions on like little cards. But it was kind of strange how all the questions that were asked, by the way, of course, it was held at a college. All the questions asked seemed to be quite positive, or even things that perhaps you might think were exactly ones that she wanted to address.
Like Governor Umbridge, why are you so awesome?
Oh, but Governor Umbridge, why did you have who's going to fix the roads? Not really, but ones where it's like she's already got this brilliant thing, oh well, let me tell you about my 500-step plan for um getting, what is it? Was insulin one of her things?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know, but she was uh there would be questions that were conveniently things that she frequently ran on, and there was never really a critical one unless it was one that addressed something that you know was, and of course my friend's question was not taken up, but it was kind of interesting. Wonder if that's still up, but it was one of those things. She seemed like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna do this, and then after, my friend was like, oh my goodness, did you notice how she said this, said this, and it was totally an Umbridge moment um well, I mean, it sounded all reasonable, and then later Hermione says, were you paying attention? Did you that this is code for this and this is code for this?
Right,
And
right.
so
All of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. I think she just threatened to pull out my fingernails with the pliers. I don't,
exactly.
but she made it sound like such a good idea.
Yeah. I thought she was pro finger. She just wanted to make everyone look pretty.
She's only pro certain fingers, apparently. But so, goodness gracious, I'm not. Well, one, I guess, have you been paying attention to any of the various protests and stuff going on here in Michigan, trying to get the attention of our legislators?
Not actually too much. I haven't been on the news really as much, but I did hear, what was it? What is it even called? Owasso?
Owasso, yeah.
Owasso.
Yeah, with the barber.
Apparently
Yeah.
a relative of ours knew him because she's a barber.
Oh, cool.
So, and she was in the area, like my grandma's sister.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, I've gathered that guy actually is shut down now.
I don't know. I just know that a governor thought it was okay without due process to pull someone's license.
Right. Yeah, I know. And then a judge said, no. He gets his day in court, lady. You can bring it. You can bring up the proceedings and everything, but he gets his day in court. And I did notice when she was asked about that at the last press conference, she basically threatened everybody with, "I'll pull your license. Behave, little ones."
What were we comparing that to the other day? Oh yeah, or today, I was on a Discord chat, like a group voice chat, and we were talking about that. It's basically the helicopter parent, except the parent is the government who is not supposed to be your parent.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Whitmer she's Dolores Umbridge and she's Mother Gothel. She's like those two things wrapped into one with the power of the king, with the power of the throne of Corona. Like, literally.
What's just so scary is coronavirus is now a license for politicians to do whatever they want, and it's like, stop! It's like, if you're doing all this in the name of not getting sick, which is important, but it's like, no one seems to remember, oh right, if they can do this for this, they can also do this for this.
Right. Like, well, yeah, her rules and everything is are just so incredibly inconsistent, poorly thought out. And it's one of the things that let's see here. I started out with this whole COVID thing kind of on the side of, all right, let's pay attention to this. This could actually be something serious. Let's pay attention to it, and so we're not caught off guard. If it turns out to be, terrible, but then it's like, it's like I'm not sure if it's as bad as they're making it. I'm not positive, but still, let's keep an eye on all of it. And that's like, the lockdown started rolling. Like, I'm getting uneasy about this, and people started very quickly talking about how this is nothing to do with safety. This is all about controlling. I'm like, okay, maybe. Then, but then you start paying attention to things like, okay, what's an essential business, and you even start thinking about what an essential business is. Like just what all the different things that I work at a power plant, all the different things that have to function just for me to get back and forth to work. The obviously there's going back and forth to the power plant, so I need gas. Gas. Grocery stores are still, of course, going to be open because people still need to eat. They talked about pharmacies, and this is just the logical stuff as you're thinking about it. Truckers are still bringing stuff all over the country. It's like people, and since there's truckers, there's got to be a place where they're going to eat, probably on the road. Okay, that means takeout places and everything. And then the lists come out. What's essential? McDonald's is essential, but I mean, I agree with the philosophical point that yes, all businesses are essential to the people working in them and everything. But just to like bare minimum to keep a modicum of societal infrastructure going for a month or so. Okay, McDonald's doesn't fall into that category. The marijuana dispensaries certainly don't. Planned Parenthood sure as hell does not. I'm like, wait a minute. Yep, it's about control. You just start thinking about it. It's like, what? It's like, and even if you did just the ones that logically make sense, it's like, how many people are actually seriously locked down? Not that a lot, but not as many as you think.
I'm just honestly, one of the things coming from the Twitterverse, unfortunately, I know that there's a lot of people out there, and there's, also just friends of the family. Like, there's people who just have, are just starting to break out of a time where, like, if you've got depression, if you've got something like, if you've got social anxieties or something, like shutting everything down, keeping you locked in your home. Okay, that is the worst possible thing you could possibly tell that person is don't talk to anybody and don't, and stay home. It's like, okay, first of all, that's what that person probably kind of wants to do in the first place. And that's like, it's their mental health is just like, that's such a bad idea. I've been in that place. But like, kind of, and it's like, you can't, those are times when you can't be away from people. Those are the times when it's most important to, at least, like, you have to have a plan set up. When you pull the carpet out from someone, you have to be there to catch them. And I don't mean throwing some money at them.
Right.
I mean, you need to have a support system.
Which again brings up the whole, okay, how many things are essential? More than you think.
And even just things like, like my roommate's nail salon, it wasn't essential, but it was.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It wasn't essential, but it was the only thing that was there for her. And, she had been working, she's like in her 50s, and she's been working as at nail salons for years, never had her own place, just opened up in December, now she's got a lease for the apartment and a lease for the salon. There's no way she can make any of this up. It's like she was already kind of going under, but then it was like, oh,
then this
it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks. That sucks. Okay.
And she's paranoid now, so she won't even go outside, and she started taking her anxiety medication.
So even when they do loosen the screws a little bit, it's going to take time for her to work up to.
She watches the news.
Yeah, because she watches freaking CNN and MSNBC, I'm sure. And frankly, it's yeah. That's just gonna get my blood pressure up. So now that you're back in the best state, what is next for Bethany? That's what I want to know.
I had a couple of things on the radar. I actually had someone talking to me about running for a certain office for a thing, but I was like, it was while I was still in California. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be there in time. It's cutting it kind of close. I would love to help you guys out, but not right now. I've got too much going on, and which of course is right before I had nothing going on, but I still couldn't do it in that time.
Right.
But I had it was I probably won't be doing anything really political yet. I have a lot of things that I've thought about, but unfortunately nothing that has really solidified. So
okay, so essentially stay tuned, because it is impossible to believe that you won't be doing something interesting in the very near future.
I mean, I know there's something I'm here for, because I've had too many random things, like Ted from California, who was like, I was out for a walk and I met this guy who was on his porch, and we started talking from a distance, of course. And he was like, you know what, Bethany? I can just tell God's got something really big planned for you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
No, yeah. Yeah, like I said,
I'm gonna need that. And so now that I'm in Michigan doing nothing, yeah, I need that.
Well, we will figure out how to take. Maybe we can figure out how to take down Governor Umbridge through.
I'm in.
Through preferably legal and nonviolent means.
Yes, hopefully. We're gonna try not to get the militia involved, but I mean, since the anti-gun people seem to want to insist that in order to have a gun, I have to be part of a well-regulated militia. I mean, I've always found that argument interesting, because, like, so you want me to join the Michigan militia? Is that what I'm hearing? It's like, have you thought this through? Answer: no, they haven't. Not at all. But anyway, so Bethany, again, welcome back to Michigan. Thank you.
The best state, the only state that always comes with its own high five. And thanks again for doing this show. And I actually can't wait to see whatever else it is that you come up with. So, and everyone else out there, take it easy. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep away from the COVID, but don't let them keep you in your house either. If you're feeling like you've been trapped in too long, get out. Leave.
Call somebody. Call your grandparents.
Yeah. Call your grandparents. And let's be honest, almost no one's policing this stuff anyway. Just go out. Just go. Be a rebel. Be that person. And if you do, and when you go out, make sure you play We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister on the way out the door, just to give you a little extra pep in your step. So until next week, You guys be good. Don't
Take
get in too
courage.
much trouble. And